Last week, I posted a video showing how one can identify the various narrow-body airplanes in the Airbus and Boeing lineups, and if you wish to check out that video, kindly do so through the card on the top right of the video. On this second video, we're going to find out how one can be able to identify the various wide-body airplanes in the Airbus and Boeing lineups. So, let's jump in. As a brief recap, I said on that video that airplanes are grouped into families, and in the families, you're going to get different variants. As an example, I said the Airbus A320 is an airplane family, and the Airbus A318, A319, A320, and the A321 are variants of the A320 family. Today, we are going to look at the wide-body airplanes of Airbus and Boeing. The wide-body airplanes of Airbus are the Airbus A300, A310, A330, A340, A350, and finally the Airbus A380. The wide-body airplanes of Boeing, on the other hand, are the Boeing 747, 767, the Boeing 777, and finally the Boeing 787. For simplicity, I'll not tackle the Airbus A300 and the Airbus A310, mainly because the two planes aren't common, but instead I'll just outline how one can identify them. To distinguish between the Airbus A300 and the Airbus A310, just look at the wings. The wings of the Airbus A300 each have 5 underwing pods, while those of the Airbus A310 each have 4 underwing pods. Also, the Airbus A300 is a bit longer than the Airbus A310. Next, we move on to the Airbus A330. To identify the Airbus A330, just look at its main landing gears, which are tilted backwards at a high angle. The A330 family is made up of two variants, the Dash 200 and the longer Dash 300. Length is the only distinguishing feature for these two models, since everything else is the same. Just like with the Airbus A320, the Airbus A330 family is grouped into two, the Airbus A330ceo standing for current engine option and the Airbus A330neo standing for new engine option. The CEO series is made up of the Dash 200 and the Dash 300 variants, while the Neo is made up of the Dash 800 Neo and the Dash 900 Neo variants. In order to distinguish between the CEO and the Neo, just look at two features, which are the engines and the wings. The Neo variants have engines which are larger than those of the CEO variants, and also the Neo variants have sharklets on their wings, while the CEO variants have winglets. Next, we look at the Airbus A340 family. The plane looks identical to the A330 except for the fact that it has two more engines, and also it has an extra landing gear in between its two main landing gears. The A340 family is made up of 4 variants, which are the Dash 200, Dash 300, Dash 500 and the Dash 600 variants. The Dash 600 is the longest variant, while the Dash 200 is the shortest variant. Next, we move on to the Airbus A350 XWB, which stands for extra wide body. It is the newest wide body airplane of Airbus, which looks somehow different from other Airbus airplanes. To identify an A350, you can either look at its wings, which have those sharklets, or you can look at its cockpit windows, which are curvy and have a dark outline on their edges. The A350 family is made up of two variants, which are the Dash 900 and the longer Dash 1000. The distinguishing feature between these two models is the length and the landing gears. While the Dash 900 variant has 4 wheels on each of its main landing gears, the Dash 1000 variant has 6 wheels on each landing gear. The Dash 1000 has more wheels mainly because it is heavier than the Dash 900 variant. The last wide-body airplane of Airbus is the Airbus A380, which is also the largest passenger airplane in the world. To identify an A380, just look at its layout. The plane has 2 full decks running lengthwise from the nose to the tail. This is the distinguishing feature for the Airbus A380. The Airbus A380 family is only made up of the Dash 800 model. Airbus had planned larger models for the plane, but the plans never came into fruition, mainly because of the lack of demand from the airlines. And with that, I've exhausted the Airbus family of airplanes. Now, let's move on to the Boeing airplane families, and we'll start with the Boeing 747. The Boeing 747 is one of the easiest airplanes to recognize, mainly because of its hand. The Boeing 747 family is made up of the Dash 100, Dash 200, Dash 300, Dash 400, Dash 8, and the SP variant standing for Special Performance. Lengthwise, the Dash 8 is the longest variant, while the SP is the shortest variant of the Boeing 747. The Dash 400 is the most popular variant of the Boeing 747 family, while the Dash 8 is the newest but least popular variant. Also, the Dash 400 is the only variant with winglets. To identify the Dash 8, just look at its engines, which are big, and also they have the noise reducing chevrons on their exhaust. Next, we'll look at the Boeing 767 family. The Boeing 767 is a very popular airplane and it can be recognized using two ways. You can look at its landing gears, which tilt forward. You can also look at its engine covers or the nacelles, which don't run entirely through the length of the engine. Instead, a large part of the engine exhaust is exposed. The family is made up of three variants, which are the Dash 200, Dash 300, and the longest being the Dash 400 variant. Next, we move on to the Boeing 777 family. To identify the Boeing 777, you can use any of the following two methods. First, you can look at the landing gears. All 777 models feature triple bogie landing gear design, to mean each main landing gear has 6 wheels. And unlike the landing gears of the Airbus A350-1000, those of the 777 are tilted, while those of the Airbus A350-1000 are not tilted at all. The second way of identifying the Boeing 777 can be by observing the size of its engines. The 777 is by far the airplane with the largest engines in the world, and their humongous size easily gives the plane away. The family is made up of three variants, which are the Dash 200, Dash 300, and the 777X. The 777X is made up of two variants, which are the Dash 9 and the Dash 8. The Dash 9 is the longest variant of the Boeing 777 family, while the Dash 200 is the shortest variant. However, we should note that the Boeing 777X is yet to enter service with airlines, and so far, Boeing has only built the larger Dash 9, and the Dash 8 may be launched later on in the future. And last but not the least is the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. The plane can be easily recognized by its aerodynamically contoured nose and its flexible wings, which flex whenever the plane is in flight. The family is made up of three variants, which are the Dash 8, the Dash 9, and the Dash 10. The Dash 8 is the shortest variant, while the Dash 10 is the longest variant of the family. If you see an airplane in between the two, it definitely has to be the Dash 9. And that brings me to the end of this video, and I hope that you can all be able to identify the various Airbus and Boeing airplane families together with the variants. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Have a nice time ahead and please take care. Goodbye.